In specific, as you can see on your 5-column sheet, while your feet are earthbound, you're physically limited to 3 ways of moving at 3 speeds in 3 body positions and 3 leg positions. Physical two-way tugging, therefore, is done in ignorance, but it does not lead to wars, just verbal fights and early departure from good parties. The physical graces are learnable by anyone. Again, this physical level does not deal with EPN-based soul level differences, just the facts of life. Now, emotionally, sports and love are a different story. This category is definitely based on EPN, meaning you are probably more engaged in doing one of the 3 choices rather than 2 or all 3. In sports, for example, if you play to win at all cost, you are committed to live, breathe, and function in a permanent hierarchy of ratings, handicaps, leagues. You have chosen the life of an electron. In the solar system, the planets are like the electrons, think of it, okay? The little picture on that side sort of tries to get across what electrons do. Everything with a little dot, that their little dot is called the nucleons. Protons and neutrons are squeezed in they're the sun of the solar system, okay? That's what the atom looks like if you're not familiar with it, okay? So, you'll have chosen the life of a human electron, life of a perfectionist. The human nucleons, the protons and the neutrons, don't have what it takes to do that. Or, I should say, they choose not to do what it takes to become the best. That's because to them, perfectionism is a restrictive choice, to use a kind term. Socially, there are 5 choices. Some say 6, but only 3 of them are soul level related, or traits. Resisting change, initiating change, and mediating contentious differences. In Who Moved My Cheese, a very famous book of the 60s, there are the ones who move the cheese, entrepreneurial protons, the ones who soon moved after it, and the ones who definitely did not like the whole idea of things being taken away from them. Change is not, they don't relate to it. The similar social tree of terms was extrovert, introvert, ambivert, or leaders, followers, and trainers. At the large level, skilled workers, the sales force, and HR professionals. They're definitely categories that do not have something in common. It's not just 2. A company, if you're an insurance agent, you go to a company that only has 2 departments, you do not gamble your money on them. They need to have a training department there. They need to have something that resembles a 3rd. You happen to call it HR, goes by most names, okay? And I traveled for Arthur Murray Incorporated for many years as a so-called sales expert. I didn't know any more than anybody else did, but I knew when things were out of balance, things are out of balance, well, do something about it. See? Don't foolishly try to save money thinking you're going to stay alive. You know better than anybody how you got to where you're going. I bet you ran a very good ship with balanced departments. Politically, the fact sheet reminds us that free societies did well only when governed from the middle. Revolts and civil wars were always the result of people being governed unfairly from one of the fringes. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we must focus on legitimizing the centrist point of view, the neutron point of view. Of course, as well as reduce blatant lying during election years. Legitimized slander is a tugging activity. It's lethal. Our best chance for reducing this 2-way tugging is to add a 3rd party. Stable atoms have functioned as trinities for billions of years, according to scientists. What makes us think that the explosive 2-party hydrogen model is the better choice? I hope it's done in ignorance rather than on purpose.
Amen.
Mentally, the EPN distinction is also very real. Level 1 thinking, functional, is what electrons do best. Resourceful survival type thinking, conscious level 2 thinking, is a proton's best asset. Because creatively engineering a scheme is what allows him or her to win in the marketplace. And contemplative wondering is the human neutron's best asset. However, their resourcefulness is not directed toward making money. Instead, it is focused on maintaining an environment that keeps workers working and big government off the backs of entrepreneurs. Spiritually, the EPN distinction is equally real. Electrons, like the planets of the solar system, are sustained by the sun, their nucleus, their avatar, their Jesus by some name. Human protons, by contrast, consider themselves to be an integral part of the nucleus. They rightly consider themselves to be an extension of the great I am. And neutrons, being a composite of both, either stay away from the doctrine level of religious beliefs, or they engage themselves devoutly in the science-based theology. Neutrons also immerse themselves in the contemplative levels of Baha'i or Buddhism. Last, soul level differences. Here we have a slight problem because the camps on whether we are or have a soul seem permanently divided. Therefore, if you think yourself to be a body, having or not having a soul, it doesn't really matter. But if you do relate to the concept of being a soul that is either on a single or ongoing journey, it matters a great deal what you think about your purpose in life and what lessons you might want to learn. If you are here on this earth as a bipartisan teacher, a mature centrist, you can probably change your soul level costume at will as needed to take the task in hand. However, if you are a soul that feels lack of any kind, you'd be wise to evaluate your choices and you have for learning the lessons you still need to learn, and then settle on one of the 3 EPN roles until you have grown into or out of the habit patterns that you either need or need to get rid of. To conclude, my responsibility to you was threefold: to supply you with facts, to arouse your emotions, and to lead you to action. Since I'm convinced that the feeling for doing comes through doing, let me go directly to the point 3. If you believe yourself to be a young soul, by all means tug, and tug is more. We've all done it while we were young. But if you think yourself to be a responsible and mature soul, please consciously and willfully replace your black and white habit patterns with something, anything, that resembles the Trinities depicted so well on these images. And the best way of making this transition to include centrism as a valid third party is to learn the craft of debating, the act of taking turns, of exchanging roles. From there, it's a small step to fully replace two-way tugging with something less destructive. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a toast to three-way communications. Dialogues are good, but trialogues are better. Because trialogues start the vortex that atoms use to remain stable. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much.